Kareem Abdul-Jabbar making a lot of news lately. First, of course, he weighed in on Will Smith and Chris Rock, and that was. I actually had some disagreements with Kareem's essay on that, and others loved it, others disagreed with it. Whatever
I liked
it was.
it. Yeah.
So it was, but it was provoked a lot of discussion. And then yesterday, the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar Social Justice Award was awarded to Carmelo Anthony, which is great. Kareem, obviously a champion of social justice.
But has been his whole life. This is not new. This is Kareem has always been conscious of the community and injustices and whatnot. I applaud him for that, Chris, from the very beginning. Has written
a ton of books about Black history. I think at least a dozen books about Black history and other things. And he's written some thought-provoking columns about various issues. And he was asked, it's unfortunate because the celebration was supposed to be about Carmelo. But when Kareem was given an interview about the award, he's, of course, asked about LeBron James pursuing his scoring record. And LeBron will break it at some point next season. Yeah. He'll break it, assuming he stays healthy, he'll break it some point, maybe midway, 2/3 through next season. But Kareem went beyond the court and said some things about LeBron. Here it is.
I admire the things that he's done that have gotten all of our attention. Sending a whole school to college, wow, that's amazing. His thoughtfulness and willingness to back it up with his wallet, again, you got to give him credit for that. So I'm not throwing stones. I just wish he wouldn't. Some of the things he's done, he should be embarrassed about.
Yeah, and obviously people took that last part and ran with. He was referring to, remember a few months ago when LeBron, I think he hit a 3-pointer, was having a big game.
He acted as if he had big
kahunas.
Onions.
Yes. Kind of this old Sam Cassell celebration for those that might remember that.
Clock
grabbing
is that it?
Your nether regions,
is that
all
what it
that
is?
Stuff. And then he was also, LeBron put out an Instagram post, again, a couple months ago, Spider-Man looking at, what was it, COVID, cold, and flu. It's kind of wondering, was COVID any worse than a common cold or the flu? And Kareem was talking about those two things. And then, Rob, after Kareem got a ton of pushback, and this morning, he released a statement clarifying himself and apologizing to LeBron, I would say. Rob G, just read a portion of it.
Yeah, here's part of the statement put out by Kareem on social media. It said, quote, "On occasion, I have chided LeBron when I thought he was dropping the ball when it came to supporting the community. But I did so in the spirit of a loving older brother offering guidance, whether wanted or not. So when I said that he has done some things he should be embarrassed about, that wasn't a slam or a barb or even a finger wag. It was me recapping some of what I'd seen in the past."
All right, Rob, you want to hit this first?
Yeah, I mean, in light of the sound that I heard, and he was very complimentary about the school and the college kids, so this wasn't a hack job, and people going to take out the most juicy thing, Chris. That's what we do, right? That's what reporters do. I'm not blaming anybody. You could sit there for an hour press conference, and if the last 5 seconds is something juicy, that's what we're going to
Rob,
use.
You and I have both been interviewed. Obviously, we've interviewed tons of people, but we've been interviewed for documentaries. You might sit for an hour and a half,
and they pull
out to be interviewed for a documentary, and they might use 5 seconds.
Yep.
10 seconds, whatever, 20 seconds. They might not use any of it. But that's what reporters do. And I'm with you. Look, I don't think Kareem, I actually agree with his final statement today where he said he's kind of trying to give LeBron kind of constructive criticism in the vein of a big brother.
I was going to say a grandfather, but that's another story.
Right. Yeah, that would be more like it.
Right?
You're right. The age difference.
I mean, he's 37 and LeBron's 37. Well, how old is Kareem? 70?
He's got to be in his 70s.
He ain't no older brother.
Yeah. But, I agree. Now, I do think one thing he said was out of bounds. I'm not going to kill him for it, but when he said some of the great things that he's done, he's standing on both sides of the fence almost. It makes it hard. This is a direct quote. It makes it hard for me to accept that when he's committed himself to a different take on everything, it's hard to figure out where he's standing. I think that was a little harsh. And I guess he was meaning more the COVID. But I think we know where LeBron stands on social issues. I feel that way, Rob. And you and I have taken, exception mainly on one major issue with LeBron, which is we didn't think he handled the situation in China the right way.
Right.
He criticized Daryl Morey, who said nothing wrong or tweeted
nothing other than I stand with democracy, which is what we have.
Right.
I mean, seriously,
exactly.
that's what he said. He didn't say anything else.
Exactly.
What
part? So he shouldn't have been. If LeBron, and I get LeBron's over there with his family, obviously they're being kept, a lot of security around him. But if that's what he meant, he could have said it in a better way. But to be critical of Daryl Morey, it was just wrong. But it's interesting, Rob, that Kareem never said anything about that.
Yeah.
To criticize, that's a little strange.
I just think Kareem, of late, it's one thing, Chris, if you want to do something, I think what people push back against is misinformation put out by celebrities who have influence over your average Joes. You can say, personally, this is what I want to do, and maybe because I don't believe in it, but when you put out and say COVID is like the common cold or whatever, you're giving people misinformation. We haven't had all the people who died, and we have friends who died, Chris, and family members. You can't just act like it's like a flu or the same thing. It's just not. It's
I
not.
think that probably is what Kareem, because LeBron's vaccinated, and so is his family, and we don't know. It wasn't an Andrew Wiggins, Bradley Beal situation where he did it grudgingly, at least publicly, right?
Right.
He just got vaccinated. His family did.
But then you
so
throw
that's
that
where
out
Kareem,
there, right?
I think that's what he meant, where he's on both sides of the fence. But I'm personally, and I get it, obviously LeBron he can influence more people than almost anybody, right? I know people that are unvaccinated. I mean, close people. And I don't look at them in a negative way. And maybe I'm not, I don't know. It's a baffling situation to me. I mean, I'm vaccinated and I've done boosters and all that, but I'm not certain. I don't know. It's been a strange situation. Unfortunately, it's been so politicized. And I'm not saying it wasn't bad because, like you said, we both had people close to us die. My father-in-law died from it. And so, but unfortunately, it has been so politicized that people are just skeptical of everything nowadays. You know what I mean? It's unfortunate, but I assume, Rob, that's what he was talking about with LeBron being on both sides of the fence.
And my only thing will say, Chris, because in the context, I don't have a big problem with it because he's at this press conference. Of course, people are going to ask him about LeBron. If he really had what I would say, and I'm not saying this was so harsh, but if he did, you could pull LeBron aside and say, like you could say him to him personally. Do you know what I mean?
I agree.
If it's really tougher, I'm not saying that what he said was so, oh my God, I can't believe you ripped LeBron like that, because I don't feel like it was that. I really don't.
No, I agree. And Kareem said he hasn't really had much interaction with LeBron. They had I don't know if he said once he's met him, but it was cordial and everything was fine. But he doesn't have any type of relationship with him.
So he maybe doesn't feel comfortable
Rob,
with.
I do think, particularly when you're talking about guys who are conscientious and do fight a lot of issues, or at least verbalize their disagreements on a lot of things. I wish there was more of a connection between the older guard and the younger guard. You know what I mean? Like,
but
LeBron and Kareem are both so conscientious. it would seem, Rob, like a natural. Now they're both Lakers. It would seem like a natural that there would be some talk. You're right. I mean, I get it. Some guys aren't even close with their teammates, you know?
Exactly. They play ball, Chris.
Right.
Get dressed, take a shower, and have nothing to do with people who they're with around every day.
Right.
Every day.
And that was one of the things when I got to the league or start covering the league, Rob, that was one of the surprising things to me. Because, you know, in high school and college, your best friends are your teammates.
Nah, not in the...
And not in the pros. And they get it. They're older, they're grown, they're different ages. Some are married, some aren't, you know. But yeah,